Okay, in this video I'm going to continue using getting my rig set up. So on the last video I was testing out, kind of making sure my master control, my grandmaster control worked, making sure everything on my character was working properly, that I didn't have any double transforms happening. So if I moved one element and I moved something else, nothing snapped, because if it did, that would be bad. So ultimately, I should have everything back in to zeroed out. So I have all my characters, all my values put back to 0. And all right, so I think. Okay, so now the next thing I'm going to do is I want to clean up my settings, clean up everything. So that means any control that I have that I don't want the animator to use, I'm going to close out and hide. Okay? So I'm going to start with the kind of just going through them one at a time. The Grandmaster control, I want the animator to have the ability to change all these things, so I'm not going to change any of these. I want them to be able to translate, rotate, and scale them. I'm going to work with the feet. When you have a foot control, the only thing I want the animator to be able to do is have the translation attribute visible. Now, one other thing I'm going to do for this, now that I'm looking at my controls, is I'm going to add the attribute for twist on here. So when I click on my IK control, my control object, it should give me the ability to twist my object. So currently I don't have the twist attribute active because it is a this is the kind of IK I'm using is not the this is a single chain. So I'm going to go to my attribute editor here, and I'm going to go down to click on my IK handle, and I'm going to go to my IK solver, and I'm going to go to my IK handle attributes, making sure it's sticky, and I'm going to change this to rotate plane. And when I do, I'm going to do that for both of them while I'm doing it right here. When I do that, that gives me the ability when I click on my IK handle, and when I go into my attributes here, it gives me the twist attribute that gives me the ability to point my leg. Basically, I can point the knee anywhere I want it to go so that I can align that leg in the proper way. And I'm going to add that attribute to my I'm going to add that control to my actual leg controls. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add an attribute to my leg control, and I'm going to make an attribute called twist. So I need to go to modify. I'm going to go to my add attribute. I'm going to call it twist, and it's a keyable attribute. The value it's going to be is a float, meaning it's going to have a decimal value, so I can just move 0.1 if I wanted to. The minimum value is going to be negative 360 because it turns 360 degrees, and the maximum value is going to be 360 with a default value of 1. I'm going to say OK. Notice that it adds that attribute to my foot control. Okay, now I need to do the same for this foot control. I'm going to say add an attribute. I'm going to call it twist, and I'm going to make it float. It's going to be negative 360, positive 360, and it's going to have a default value of 0. So this one has one there too. Now I need to connect them. I need this attribute to control the attribute of the twist value. So I need to make a connection of one thing to another. So I'm going to select the object I want to load up. I'm going to go to my Windows and General Editors and Connection Editor, and it's right here. I'm going to load that control into the side. When I do, all the channels that I have possible to run another channel or connect with are going to be here. I'm going to go to my twist attribute, or my IK handle. I'm going to put in load right, and I'm going to go down to the twist attribute here, which is right there. So I'm going to select this one, and I'm going to connect it to that one. So now when I select this and I go to the twist attribute, I can simply make my adjustments there. I'm going to do the same thing with this. I'm going to load left. There's my twist. I'm going to select this. I'm going to load right, choose twist, and I'm done. I've made the connections. That means that this connection, this control will control this object, and twist that leg however I want. And this control will give me the ability to twist that leg wherever I want. Now I'm ready to clean this up a little bit. All I really want to do is leave the translate attributes. I'm going to hide the rotate and the scale and the visibility. I'm going to right click. I'm going to select them, right click, and say hide. I'm going to say lock and hide selection. So that means all I have then when I click on this, if I try to rotate it, it's grayed out or scale or anything else. I'll do the same for this. I want to translate. I don't want to rotate or scale, and I'm going to say lock and hide. I'm going to go up to these controls on my arms, and I just want the rotate attribute. I'm going to select these, hold down shift, I could grab all of these as a group, then just go back and hold down control and just uncheck rotate. And then I'm going to say right click and lock and hide selected. Alright, so now all I can do is rotate that. Now let's say I made a mistake, and let's say I wanted to bring some attributes back. In order to bring those attributes back, say when I select on this I forgot something, I can go up to Windows, General Editors, and I'm going to use my channel control. When I bring up my channel control, notice that this says it's keyable, and I have this out here. I can look for the attributes in my long list of attributes here and find, say, translate Y and Z. Can take those and I could just say move them back. Okay, or I could do it all from right here and just go here. I'm going to move that back because that was actually correct. I just wanted to make sure you saw how to fix it. So I've got my arm, upper arm. I'm just going to select all these and then deselect or that and say right, lock and hide. And I'm going to do that for each one of my controls. Alright. This one, right, translate, oops. And I'm going to unrotate that. Lock and hide. Up here I want to be able to translate this attribute and rotate this attribute, but I don't need to scale, I don't need to turn on visibility, so I'm going to lock and hide those attributes. But this one I only want to rotate, so I don't want to be able to scale those. But I want my antennas to be there, and I want my parent to be there. Alright, so essentially I'm just going to make sure I have all of these things set up properly the way that I want. Okay. Now I've got everything limited, everything is set up the right way, then I think I'm going to just hide. I'm going to hide all, show none, and then just bring up my NURBS curves and bring up my polygons. Then I end up with my controls and everything being displayed and nothing else. That gives me the ability to simply control my character. It cleans up my scene. and everything is looking really nice. Alright, so there's my character as it is, and I am happy with that. Everything looks to be in order. Let's make sure I've got everything. I've got to clean up this one. Looks like I've got a rotation. Oh, I've got a rotation value that I've hidden, and I'll have to fix that. So again, I just go through my rig. I always check and double check things to make sure that I've got things the way that I want, that I haven't lost something before I call the rig done. And so I continue to test it out and make sure I've got it the way that I want it. And when I'm finished, like, I've got to go back and fix that one, so I'm going to go fix that one really quick. And I'll go back to my Windows General Editors and my channel control, and I've got to bring back my rotate. Rotate Y wasn't supposed to be there, so now it's back. I'd probably just leave that open since I may have other issues. If I get in a hurry or something, it seems to be there. It seems to be there. Alright, it's looking good. My rotate Y's, I don't translate that. Translate and rotate my root control, that's correct. And if I wanted to rotate or translate the master control, that would give me the ability to scale things up. Alright, things are looking good, and let's make sure I save. So there's my character now. Now the next thing I would do is, I haven't textured or anything like that, so I would go in and start texturing my character, and that would be my final attributes have been added. Everything looks good, so I think I'm in good shape. I think my character is done, but you never know until you start to animate things and find out you want to add more features or make values higher. Like, for instance, when I select my antenna bend, if for some reason I didn't give it enough bend, I have to go back and adjust those values. I can edit those, so if I want to modify, I could go to edit attribute, and if I choose the one that I want, let's say these values weren't big enough, they didn't give me enough range of motion, I could adjust those to give myself more range of motion. Alright, I think that's everything. Next thing I would do is then texture the character, but that's a whole nother story, not the rigging process, that's another process. So the character looks good. Now I would test it out, make sure that everything runs and works.